Evening. May I call the meeting to order at 6:03? I just. Can Janessa do the Pledge of Allegiance, or she needs to be sworn in first? She has been sworn in. Okay. Would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Welcome. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and congratulations. We're happy you're here.
Welcome.
Thank you. Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Here.
Commissioner Everett,
Here.
Commissioner Martinez,
Here.
Vice Chair Rojas had contacted me, letting me know that he wasn't available to attend. Chair Chiaro.
Present.
Chiaro.
Thank you. May I please have verification of the agenda posting?
The agenda was posted on Friday, September 8th, 2023 at the Hollister Community Center and City Hall at 12 p.m. per Government Code Section 54954.2.
Thank you, Tina. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes from the June 13th meeting?
Yes.
I didn't actually read the whole thing, but yes, scanned.
Okay. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes from the June 13th meeting? I'm making a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Was that Commissioner Everett?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Tina, do you want to move on to election of the chairperson and vice chairperson?
Yes, per our bylaws, it states that a chair and vice chair will be nominated in June of every year. So we had a meeting in June and we overlooked it. So when we came in August, we didn't have a quorum. So now we're in September. And now we'll either vote on a chair and a vice chair, or a suggestion could be that in our city clerk's office is working on new bylaws for all of our commissions, which include our airport, our parks and recreation, art and culture, planning, art and culture. So they're working on it to revise it, and so they're all consistent with each other. And what they'll do is a new chair, vice chair for each commission will be voted upon in December, or does it go in January? It would be voted upon in January, so it's consistent with a council member re-elections. We can have our current chair and vice chair kind of finish out the year, so to speak, or we can vote on a new chair and vice chair. And then in January, we vote again for a chair and vice chair. At this point, I leave it to the commission.
Do we have discussion?
I'm okay with letting it carry over until January.
Yeah,
How do you feel,
I'm
Rosalind?
okay with that.
Okay. So do we need, that's not an action item, is that?
No, it's not an action item.
Okay.
So we'll move forward with our current chair and vice chair.
Okay, thank you, Tina. Okay, on to the youth commissioner vacancy.
I just wanted to make our commission aware that we have one youth commission vacancy and a District 2 vacancy, or I guess I skipped that, but just a youth commission vacancy if there's, of anyone that might be interested under the age 17 and under. I think our age starts at, it could be 12. I think it starts as young as 12 to 17 years old.
Thank you. Do we have any, we have 0 applicants for either one of those positions right now?
In youth commission vacancy, we have 0 applicants.
And any for District 2 right now?
District 2, we have none, but this district is Councilmember Resendez, and he's aware that he is in search of a new commissioner.
Okay. Great. Okay. Thank you, Tina. Do we have any public comment?
I do not have any public comment here.
None on Zoom either.
Thank you, Paul. Moving on to old business. Number 1, receive an update on the art development fee.
The art development fee, that has been a hot topic for us for many years. And at last night's special meeting with our council in the general plan, our planning department was given direction to work on a possible development fee, building fee / building fee. And then from there, the council will make a decision if they want to move forward with this fee that goes to our Arts and Culture Commission.
What shifted in the process of where we were headed and where we are now?
Quite a bit shifted. This item was moving forward for council approval. And because it was section in a zone area, it had to go to the planning commission. And when the planning commission just kind of looked over it, it was thought that there wouldn't be an agreement because the building, and I don't always say it right, the building validation. We had a long discussion on it, but it was the building validation. Building valuation for each building permit, it was at 1%. So they're saying that a project that is, I think their example was 40 million could be, what's 1% of 40 million? 4,000.
It was 400,000.
400,000. Thank you, Paul.
And it was 4,000 for the fee, the 1%.
Yes.
Based on different valuations of whatever buildings, they weren't sure if it would be, if 1% was too much. And so it went back to the planning, the development services to do some more research as far as what other jurisdictions are doing with the fees. And some have fees, some don't. Some are set fees, some are based on a percentage of building permits or valuation. So they're looking at that. That's what I got out of this.
Yeah, there is a variety. They just felt that the fees for development are very high in Hollister, and to add this additional fee, some of the developers commented and thought that we were, I don't know. I think they just felt that our fees were just too high, so they wouldn't approve it. They would go to the planning commission and comment on it. So what we know that we want something for our art and culture commission, we want some sort of fees to go. So that's something that our planning department is working on.
Yeah,
They
is it
just
make that either a part of the building permit valuation instead of the building valuation. right? So instead of 400,000 for a building, and you get a percent off of that, it'd be a percent off the building permit itself. So it'd be a lesser amount. But that's what they're going to go back and figure out.
It's that what Paul said, and then the other idea was just a flat fee. What does a flat fee look like for each development that's within the city, whether it be commercial or residential? It would just go to a flat fee.
Can I ask a question? How many $40 million projects do we have in Hollister on average?
It was 400,000 was the
No, but-
example last night. But
Yeah, but that's 1% on 40 million.
no. The example was the building valuation was 400,000.
Oh, not 40 million.
Not 40 million.
I couldn't, yeah, I
Oh,
added
okay.
a zero.
got it.
Or a few more.
Got it. Okay.
No, they were just using it as an example. So, and that's where we're at. I would just encourage our commission to talk to your council members.
Did they have any idea about kind of this investigation timeline? What they would like, what are we looking at? Cause I know we've been like you said, we've been discussing this for a long time. So I was like, it's still, I'm just the old business. Any-
Yeah,
any-
so I feel like they'll bring something back within the next 7 months. That was my understanding, that they will have kind of time to review it and bring something back. If not sooner, I felt like they did a really good job last night, and they want to finish this general plan as soon as everyone else does. So I think they'll really work on something. They had some really good ideas too.
And is that the timeline for the completion of the general plan, 7 months?
I think that's
I
what
believe it
council.
was between 4 and 7. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's in line with all of those other things they're trying to. wrap up.
Yes, in the general plan, and I would forward it to you because I didn't include it in this packet, but there is a section on arts and culture, and included in that section, it talks, the draft of the general plan, I should say, it talks about hiring a staff person to help with some of these art and culture events, and then funding for cultural type events along with art in our community. So that's in the draft general plan. I think it's chapter 11, and that is, the draft is online. We have our own little section, so we just now from here kind of advocate for the arts and culture in our community.
In regards to the fee for that, could a portion of those fees be used for that staff person?
That's what the recommendation is in the draft.
Thank
Mhm.
you for clarifying. Is there any discussion or questions regarding the art
No.
development fee? Okay, thank you. Old business number 2, receive an update on the Arts and Culture Commission bylaws.
I talked about it earlier, but I just wanted, our city clerk's office continues to work on bylaws that include all of our the city's commissions. And once they've completed it, it'll move forward to council for council approval.
Okay. Any questions about that?
No.
Old business number 3, discuss placemaking downtown Hollister, and collaborating with the Hollister Downtown Association to put on a Day of the Dead event downtown.
I know there was some discussion on that, and just trying to clarify if commission is recommending, are you guys going to make a recommendation? Help me out, Rob, if you can. Recommendation to council to formalize an agreement with HDA? Is that something that the commission would like to do?
That we understood, and what was communicated to me, that Omar Torres actually came and gave me a card saying that he wanted to start planning, and we started planning that.
So a few months ago, they had Omar, who is executive director for HDA. He did a presentation.
Rosas.
I thought you were. Okay, so yes, you guys, the commission would need to make a recommendation to council to have an agreement with HDA to have to collaborate with them on the Day of the Dead event.
Will that include funding as well? Because there are no funds for that.
You could make a recommendation to council.
When is the next council meeting?
September 18th. So next Monday.
Is that enough time?
The thing is, we already started, right? The students have already been recruited from Hollister High. They already believe they're doing this. So there was no mention that we had to do this before. And September 19th is literally just a few weeks away from it starting, and it's a huge collaboration. I mean, I don't mind telling the kids that they don't have time, because that September 19th is just not going to work. There are altars, there's so many things that need to be done.
Are you saying the recommendation to council? It's on Monday. I would recommend that maybe our chair, maybe you guys can have our Chair Kiato attend a council meeting during public comment.
May I ask a clarifying question to you? What kind of budget do you think you would be requesting?
It
Or
would be minimal. I mean, anywhere from, I don't know, maybe at maximum $4,000 to $5,000, perhaps, if that, because a lot is being recycled, a lot is being contributed by the high school, a lot is being contributed by business owners, so it really doesn't take a whole lot. If anything, it would be just to be able to pay performers, I think, and whatever materials are outstanding.
So I'm curious in terms of asking for funding from the council, is there like certain budget frameworks where if you're asking for a certain amount, it's more likely to go through or to be approved versus certain levels? I don't know if somebody can speak to that.
Tina, there's also a timing issue with getting on the agenda in time for, we're talking November 1st.
Yes.
Mhm.
Then probably the earliest you can get on the agenda is probably the 16th. No. Maybe the 2nd. Because just to get on the agenda is several weeks. You have to have the staff report, it's gotta go. City clerk.
Yeah, that won't be enough time.
It would be probably the 16th. October 16th would probably be the earliest you probably can get it on the agenda for them to consider.
Due to the timing, I would recommend talking to your council member and see if they'll place it on the agenda for the next council meeting. or discuss it with the rest of the council?
I personally believe that it's just not worth it at this point, as far as the commission member is concerned. As far as I'm not gonna do it. So it's gonna completely, yeah, we don't have time. We don't have time.
May I ask, I kind of brought up the question about budget when she's, Commissioner Sanchez is saying that she would be thinking about requesting $4,000 to $5,000 for this event. When something like that, of that budgetary need goes on the agenda, is there certain loop, like, what are we looking at in terms of approval for something like that?
So the commission's role is advisory in nature,
Okay,
right? So the commission can't legislate or commit the city to a particular action.
Right.
The commission's role is to discuss art and culture items and to make recommendations and advise city council on these items.
Right.
And city council will ultimately make the final decision on whether or not to go with the recommendation or the advice of the commission. Commission could, with the advice or recommendation, ask and say a certain amount of money would be beneficial, but at the end of the day, it would be city council that would make that decision.
Can I make maybe a compromise here? Because I think it's a great project, but I also was very worried about the timeline. So can we go ahead and present it to the city council for maybe next year? And that way we have a lot more time to get the budget in line and, you know, to get the whole thing rolling and not have to be stressed for time. Is that possible?
Yes, if the commission would like to make that recommendation.
I personally, right now, I'm not ready to decide on that. And as far as this one's concerned, I said, I make my stand. I'm not, as a commissioner, I'm not doing it. So.
Can I ask one more clarifying question? You said that, and I respect what you're saying, Commissioner Sanchez, that she could contact, or we could contact our council member. So are they enabled to put items on the agenda without, or like in a faster manner if you're, contacting your council member versus going the route that we're talking about, that not having time?
There may be some still timing issues, but they could. I don't know.
What would be a better route?
But
As a
we still will not be
commissioner.
able to get it on the agenda for voting purposes regardless.
It could, if you talk to them and you would like that, then they could make a suggestion to the city manager. We have timelines that we have to fulfill, and we have met ours for the 18th, and the 2nd, October 2nd was today at 5. No, yesterday at 5. So we're really limited.
Commissioner Sanchez, you
No,
decided you don't want to do it?
Yeah, that, like I said, as a commissioner, that's done.
Is that okay with you? I mean, because
Yeah.
I'm definitely willing to,
No, no.
Be with
no,
you and speak
no, it's
on it.
good. It's good. Yeah. Thank you.
so we don't need to just no further discussion, or do we need to make a statement that we did not recommend moving forward with a recommendation? No further discussion. Okay.
There's no further discussion.
I would just like to offer my support if you change your mind or there's other things.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, moving on to new business. But new business number 1, discuss applying for the grant at the state park. Commissioner Sanchez, was that one you were wanting to speak on?
Again, it's another project that unfortunately has so many obstacles, and it's making it difficult to move forward. So at this point, I really don't have much to say because there's not much we can even talk about. And I don't even know where we're at anymore on this project. So Yeah, I think I've done everything I can with that.
I was just, I would like to maybe make a statement that a lot of times a lot of these, things that the commission would like to do are attached to funding. And I feel like we're like a little bit in a bind with how are we supposed to move forward on certain projects or ideas when we're kind of stuck in this, development fee kind of suspension of time, which I get, it needs to go through all of these, phases. But I think for some of these things, we do need a staff person, we do need funding, like that it just is kind of in a holding pattern and there's not really much we can do. So do you just want to table that until,
Please.
okay. Okay, new business number 2, discuss forming a roundtable for artists.
That was an item from Commissioner Sanchez.
Yeah, last meeting, we discussed that. That was also another difficult conversation that didn't go anywhere either. So I'd like to shy away from that as well. I don't even want to discuss that anymore.
Okay. And in relation to this specific topic, I did want to offer that the San Bernardino County Arts Council's Arts Express program is opening right now. For artists and classroom teachers, PTOs and things like that. That could be a potential jumping off point for something like this, with the eventual idea that the city really takes on investing in these things through this art development fee, because there's no other funding coming from any other source unless we take it to council and just ask for a specific allotment. Is that the case?
Yeah, it just seems like that in addition to budgeting, funding, timelines, and even just little conversations, there's not much we can even talk about that falls within a strange set of guidelines that none of us are really clear on, or we only know once we're told we can't say anything about anything outside of X. All of it just seems to be, can't move in one direction or another, and we're not moving forward on anything. We've been in existence for 2.5, 3 years now. And I asked myself, what have we done? What have we accomplished? And I'm not at all stating that people are not putting effort. I get that. And we sit here every, month doing this, but we still haven't accomplished something that makes a difference for this community. And that's my huge concern, that as a person who works for the community and does community work, that's all I do. I have seen things move forward, and I have not seen anything move forward here. And I'm not just concerned, but it worries me that this commission, if you notice, there's 4 of us here. I don't know who else is going to come on board. And if we continue to put things in the way of that, I don't know that this commission will survive and it has any real purpose anymore. This is exactly how I feel.
So in response to that, if there's certain things that we're trying to achieve or recommendations we're trying to make to council to move some of these things forward without that development fee or some pot of funding or source of support to develop these initiatives and programs, do we just go to council and ask for funding allotments for certain things as and they can just decide to yes, approve it or not?
The commission would make a recommendation to council, and then staff would bring that item to the city council.
So maybe just in our further discussions, if we're going to have to wait 7 months for some larger allotment of funds, is thinking strategically, like, is there certain things that we do want to push forward that have been on this kind of ongoing spiraling conversation that would be those first steps to basically really encourage the council to just make an allotment for at the next board meeting or the next 2 board meetings. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I just don't understand what exactly are we accomplishing in the next 7 months? What are we doing as a commission in the next 7 months? While we're waiting for that. And that's even if it gets approved. That's even if, right? Because we don't even know that it will, right? What do we do in those next 7 months?
And in regards to this, is there other things on council's like agenda and plans that are related to this commission that we're not aware of that, like as we've been discussing and having our meetings, the Hollister sign was brought to the commission and we got to discuss that and give recommendations for that project. Is there other projects or things coming up that are going to be related to our work here?
Yes, we have a few that are coming up, and one of them is our Prop 68, then park, Fire Station 2 park, where there's art in the park. So that would come before the commission, and the Dunn Park renovation project.
Okay.
There was discussion of a mural. So that would also come before the commission. And then the commission would make their discuss and then make a recommendation. And that has, there's allocated funds for those projects. But any new type of project, for example, would be, we celebrate culture. I can't think of something coming up. Oktoberfest, for Germans. If there was an event, we would maybe discuss it in March, April. You would like to have an event. The commission would discuss what they would like to see at the event, a budget, and then staff would bring that recommendation to council.
Okay.
So it's kind of looking now and planning 3 to 4 months ahead, so that we could have enough time to write our staff report. And then if council wants us to bring something back to the commission, there's enough time.
Thank you, Tina. Does anybody else want to comment on that? Or shall we move on to new business number 3, it looks like? Oh, that was 2.
Yeah, it looks like you have one twice.
Well, based on what Tina's saying and what Commissioner Sanchez is saying, I think if we know or can bank on the fact that development fee isn't going to happen for 7 months and just assume that is not the case, is thinking really long game about something that is, 6 months away that we want to bring, so that we do feel that we are making some progress and what would be that next goal, which I feel like it can feel defeating when you're, Go ahead.
I do have a proposal.
Okay.
Future out, and I did talk to my council member who is on board with this idea. A lot of cities are doing it. They're very popular. They're lots of fun. Is a chalk art festival. That can be chalk art. Sorry, chalk art festival. And that would be something that would happen in either late April or in May. So it gives us enough time to present it and have the city council weigh in on it. And then we can go there from the funding if we need to ask for funding. But with a project like that, you can do a lot of sponsorship with local businesses to sponsor a square. And they'll sponsor the artist. The artist can sponsor themselves. Some of these festivals you pay in $35 and we supply one set of chalk. You can bring your own and your own mixers and all that other stuff. So, and then you have something like at the park, hopefully you could use like Dunn Park or something like that. And have bands play, have a beer garden because we have a lot of local breweries. It could be in association with the Downtown Hollister Association. So that could be something we can now present and see how this works out in terms of a timeline. Present it to the city council, see if they're yay or nay. And then we can see how the process goes forward and how long it takes us Because it's, again, the wheels can move slow. So let's find out how fast we can make them move if we have a decent proposal.
Commissioner Keanu. We do have public comment on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. You're gonna pull it up? Do I need to say anything? Sorry.
You're gonna open it up for public comment?
Do I just say that?
Yeah.
Can I open it, open it up for public comment? Thank you. Thank you for being patient with my learning.
Yes, we have Roland Resendez on Zoom. Go ahead, Mr. Resendez.
Thank you. Thank you to the commissioners for allowing me to speak. I'm watching on YouTube and I just want to let you know, first off, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to offer some support. Each council member has what's called discretionary funds, and we can use those monies for our districts or for the community in any way that we would like to. I understand there's frustration with the process and the timeline of whether or not we're going to have a some type of a fee moving forward for the Arts and Culture Commission. I'm a huge advocate of that. I would like to see that come through. I also am a huge advocate of the work that you guys are doing. I'm very grateful for the work that you're doing. And I'd like to see you continue to be successful. And at this point, I'd like to offer my discretionary funds to help you with some of the events that you're talking about. In particular, I heard that there's interest, a very important cultural event that's coming up for the Day of the Dead. So I'd like to offer $5,000 for my discretionary funds to support that upcoming event. And I would encourage you to please reach out if you need any other monies for any other future events to myself or any of the other council members to help support you. So I just wanted to reach out and let you know that those are some of the other options. And we're here to support you guys. And that's something that we can do that does not necessarily have to be agendized. I can use those monies however I'd like. And I'd like to at least start by offering a total of $5,000 to help support the Day of the Dead event. Thank you for allowing me to speak. And please keep that in mind for the future meetings. Have a good night.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Councilman Resendez. We really appreciate that.
We have no other public comment.
Thank you, Paul.
I just wanted to comment too. So I just received some guidance and council does not have to approve that. Councilmember Resendez offered it, so it's available to $5,000.
I do have another question on that.
Our city attorney's office is going to look into this a little bit further, and then I'll follow up with an email
Look into what?
into the discretionary funds and the process. Just under the discussion, how it was agendized. That's what he's going to review.
Okay, I'm confused. My question was, do we have to go through another layer of approval to actually do the event? In other words, if the $5,000 is approved, what else do we need to do to ensure that this happens? Because essentially we didn't know that any of this was needed to happen, and we've already notified, classrooms full of students at Hollister High that this is their curriculum. This is what they're going to be doing.
Your questions, he's going to follow up with our city attorney's office will follow up, and then I'll let our commission know through an email. Your
When?
questions. As time permits, as soon as he can you bring it back?
Having a vague, we'll get back to you, doesn't help us in our situation where we're at. I mean, it's a beautiful gesture on Councilman Resendi's part. I'm very grateful for that. But we are clearly in a time crunch. We were not told that these were the steps to do this. I was clearly told, and I was contacted by the Downtown Association saying, let's initiate planning.
He's working on it now and hopefully get back to it by the end of the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, new business number 3, discuss art and outdoor spaces.
Someone remind me, who brought this item?
Was it Commissioner Ross?
Oh,
Yes, okay, so
That's
should
why
we
I don't
just hold off
remember.
on that unless anybody has further discussion on that? Okay.
So did she just not present today?
She's just absent today, correct? Oh, she's no longer.
Commissioner Ross, or Christina Ross is now with the planning department. So I'm not planning department, the planning commission. So she is now a planning commissioner.
Okay.
Is the art and outdoor spaces, I think it is I want to say it's something like interactive type stuff that goes on when you're walking around that's beyond mural, if you will. Like,
Okay.
you know, things that are I think she saw this in
The placemaking book.
yeah, well, in Utah, I think though too, she took some sort of trip where she saw a bunch of examples of this.
Mhm.
But how do we get that from her now that she's in planning?
Mhm.
It wasn't there, Paul. Are you Paul? You're Paul, right? I'm sorry. Wasn't there something that we could actually meet with other planning, say commissioners? We just needed a request, something like that?
Meeting.
Yes.
I think there's a process through the city clerk's office of requesting a meeting such as that, and then it comes to figuring out what day is available, and it happens here. And then reaching out to all the commissioners of all the commissions, right? For their availability of that date and time, but it has been done.
So I think that would be an interesting collaborative effort to reach out to say planning commission, since she's on the planning commission now. If we want to further explore that, and I mean, it could also probably move these processes a lot faster and in a more effective way.
That sounds interesting to me.
Mhm.
I was also thinking in terms of the commissioners that either move on or they term out, to have like an exit interview or some type of exit survey, so that we could know like what they were working on, their,
I agree.
stuff like that, so that we could either continue that work or, move that in a new direction or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good, very good idea. Thank you, Paul.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to new business number 4, review and discuss art policy. Is that Tina, right? Or is that? New business number 4, review and discuss the art policy. I just did mention when you were discussing, Commissioner Sanchez discussed in meeting, however, going through the process of meeting with the planning commission. And then I suggested that, as commissioners move on to, new commissions or exit their position on this commission, that we have some type of exit interview or survey, so that just about their work on the commission and what things they were wanting to see the commission do, so that we could continue that work or continue to have that as a part of our plan.
Okay, I will add that or discuss that.
Thank you. And do you, Tina, were you going to discuss new business number 4, the review and discuss the art policy?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
So the last time we looked at the art policy, there was some requests to make several different changes. And after conversation with our city attorney's office, what we could do is, again, the commission would make the recommendations to the art policy, and then we would have to bring it to council for approval. And in the general plan, there is some discussion of an art policy. So I would like to recommend that I get that information and email it to the commission as we move forward with the development of, I guess it would be an amended art policy because we currently have an art policy.
Okay.
The art policy is that something we were involved in at some point? Because I'm thinking of that document that we created. That's the art policy.
It was
And it was a-
attached to the bylaw.
And it was a full discussion of whether we should call it art and culture policy, or if it was just going to be art policy because culture had not fully been described or developed. And then
Yes.
we said it would hold up something and we decided just to move forward. That thing. Okay.
It would have held up the
Bylaws.
1% impact or what
But it's
building.
but it's still held up anyways. So in that 7-month period, could we revisit our art and culture policy then?
That's the will of the commission.
How do I move for that, or how do I ask for that?
Just discussion. You can recommend that we place an amendment to the bylaws for the next meeting.
Okay, please.
I'm sorry, not the bylaws, the art.
The art policy,
Yes.
yes.
So they go. This action has to be voted on and approved by the majority of the commission.
Do I say,
You want to make a motion?
sure? So I make a motion to amend the art policy to art and culture policy and define both in our policy at the next meeting. Who will second that motion?
I second.
I second.
So Commissioner Everett, second, so it's all in favor.
All in
Chair.
favor?
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Place it, yes.
Okay, so that'll be on the next agenda and Tina will send that out in advance so we can review it and it'll be up for discussion.
Yes.
Thank you. And, I would like to recommend maybe everybody thinking about what would be some next target. I think this is a great first step, but as far as like festivals or events or things that we're looking outward, much forward, like I think Commissioner Everett's idea was really good. I do remember when the plan was coming together for the city, that there was a lot of input, and I was just wondering, can you share again maybe that input? Because I know people gave comments about what festivals that they would like to see, so we can kind of revisit what the community really wants and really align our work with what the community is desiring, for those events and festivities and things like that. Then hopefully we get word quickly about the Day of the Dead event, and then that would be a really fantastic momentum going forward.
I agree.
Do we know anything about that yet, Mr. Fisher or Mr. Lerner? Sorry.
So the item you would need to recommend to the council that the city get involved, or whatever recommendation that the commission would like to do to city council. And they would have to then discuss that recommendation, and at which time, you know, if Councilmember Resendez decided to utilize some of his discretionary fund, then he could elect to do so through that action. But the commission would still need to make a recommendation this evening to council, so that council could then discuss and either take action or no action on the item.
And the agendized issue is not a concern? Like getting it on the agenda is not an issue?
That I couldn't answer that. It probably would be an issue.
Because I think that's the concern, is the timeline issues, that if she has to wait for it, can we get it on the agenda? And then when they vote, can she get the money in enough time for this project to move forward?
I can have a discussion with our city clerk's office to see if I can possibly write a quick report and get it on the agenda for October 2nd. That's the soonest we would.
So still getting it on the agenda, though, let's say if we even got it on the agenda, it's still a question of whether it's going to be approved, right? And then let's just say it's not for whatever reason, right? Like this art fee. Like, then I think there's too much that we're leaving to chance here. And so far, I don't have any faith in that we're gonna, I mean, we thought this art fee was going to go through, and how long have we been discussing that? And this Day of the Dead thing, when did we put it out there? Like a few months ago, right?
I think in June.
Yeah. So, I personally, I don't want to, I mean, these kids' hopes are already. Might as well do it. Notify them succinctly rather than let's wait and see what happens. Because what would happen is we'd have to start working, and maybe their work is not going to go anywhere.
In terms of discretionary funds, though, how debatable is that?
What I've seen from the council is they support a council member's discretions for what they would like to do with their funds.
Have you seen it not go through?
As long as I've been attending meetings, I have not.
All right, I mean, we can continue forward. I think if anything, we just have. Yeah, I don't know, I guess we want to take a chance on that.
Well, I think that the leverage we do have is that there has been some stagnation happening, and that we have the Councilmember Resendez support, and you've already took the lead on this. You have a commitment from students. So I think it's a positive community event. So I see all of the benefits. I don't see any drawbacks. The other thing you mentioned, though, that is pertinent is like, is there any permitting issues or anything with the downtown association that needs to happen as far as having that community event happen?
That already has been discussed. We've done everything so that we don't need to have any permits.
Perfect.
It's going to be a very simple celebration. Now it was just a question of identifying the exact date. Because it falls obviously right next to this Halloween parade situation. And so we basically made a ton of concessions to make it as simple as possible so that could happen. And so Omar was, very knowledgeable in everything that needed to happen. And so his recommendations were so that we could move forward on it and not have anything impeding it from happening.
I would like to make a recommendation that the commission put this to city council for, hopefully that council member Resendez can use his discretionary funds to support this event that is already well underway in its development. We need to have a second on that, correct? Do I have a second on that?
Yes, you absolutely have my resounding second on that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion passes. Do we have any commissioner comments?
I actually just want to say that I think that this commission is incredibly special. I think that that if we can get momentum and we can get community and yes, our local government behind the purpose, the mission of this commission. I keep repeating myself to so many people that people look at the arts as something that's nice to have. And it's beyond that, because if we look at everything that happened after COVID, you will find that the arts are involved in every part of what has been developed economically in so many different cities, especially in cities that were hurting, that have brought cities back to life, that have brought people back to life, given people things to look forward to and move forward together. I believe in what we're doing here, but I don't believe in that we're needing to put, you know, whether it's systemic, and do we need to look at these systemic things? Are they allowing us to serve our communities the way we have promised to do so? Are we making progress? Are we moving forward? Are we working together? And if something gets in the way of doing something really, really good for this city, should we just follow it blindly? Or should we maybe try to find ways to make progress in a more creative fashion, right? And progress meaning that the work that we're doing is so that this city progresses and it grows and it has a feeling of prosperity and happiness and collaboration. And when we're constantly running into walls, it just doesn't feel that way. And I don't think that's why we're here. And I think that when we invite young people to be a part of this process, what are we showing them? We're showing them if you're a part of the system, you're going to move at a snail's pace and who knows if you'll get anything done that's meaningful? Or are we inviting them to be a part of the process so they do their civic duty so they can see what progress looks like, and meaningful progress and timely progress? I think all of you know I'm very passionate about what I do, and anybody who knows me knows that I believe passionately in what we do in arts and culture. And I absolutely believe that it can all not just bring us all together, but we can all move forward in a really prosperous and collaborative way where our young people can see this is how it works. And this is why you want to stay in Hollister and be a part, you know, of government and be a part of everything that makes a difference in this town rather than leaving Hollister. Because that is the power of a city, is its youth. And you lose the youth, you lose any ability to make progress. So everything that I put forth is for that purpose. And so these are my expectations. And I'll always ask for this, and I'll always ask for it in a passionate way.
Thank you. Is there any more commissioner comments this evening? Okay, the next regular meeting is set for Tuesday, October 10th at 6 p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:03?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Still don't know what I'm doing after 2.5 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned at 7:03. Motion passes. Thank you, everybody, for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Thank you.